One of my absolute favorite things about the bike industry is when a brand comes out of seemingly nowhere, designs and builds a bike that can compete with the absolute best bikes on the market. That's just something that's really cool and rare in any industry. It's still alive and well in the mountain bike world, and that is what the brand Forestal out of the little country of Andorra has pulled off. I've been really excited and wanting to tell everyone about this brand and sort of the story behind it, and we're stoked to just bring over this unique niche European e-bike brand to the US and show the world what's going on with it. Let's check it out. This is the Forestal Siryon. It's the flagship enduro bike from Forestal, which is a niche bike brand out of Andorra. That is a little small country in between Spain and France. It's actually really well known in the mountain bike world because they have a mountain bike World Cup there every year, and there's a ton of epic bike parks and trails there. Liam and I actually got to go to Andorra to ride this bike amongst some of the other Forestal models, but most importantly, meet the people behind the brand, see the insane and massive investment and operation that's going on at Forestal. And pretty much understand the people behind the brand and the mission of what they're trying to pull off with the brand. And it's just awesome and impressive in every way. They have this building that is vertically integrated for the brand, but the building literally is vertical. It's tall and narrow. Every floor has got a different segment. They're designing and developing the motor themselves, manufacturing, painting, assembly, design, engineering, all of that sort of stuff happening in one location, which is way more impressive and very different actually in the bike industry. So it's really cool to see that in one particular location like Andorra, which is rad. So getting to be there and see the brand, understand what's happening was fantastic. It was just a really interesting experience and just really showed us the true kind of, I don't know what you call it, the gumption that this team has.
What does that mean?
To try and build this brand into something absolutely amazing. And it's not actually super new. They've been at this for I think almost 5 years now, working on designing and building a few models of bikes. The Siryon's the one we're gonna talk about today because it's kind of the flagship one that to me is the most important at the moment. 170 mil travel, 29er. I would call this a lightweight e-bike. You can get this thing easily under 40 pounds, which is amazing given how much power the motor has and how long the battery lasts. And that's really what Forestal's going for. They're going for e-bikes that are optimized, built from scratch, not a motor from another brand built around a suspension design that wasn't built around an electric motor. They're just ground up e-bike from the start, their motor, their design, their patented proprietary suspension system, all sort of symbiotically put together to build a bike from the start that was meant to be that bike, a high performance, premium, lightweight, fast e-bike, which is so cool to see and something you kind of have to ride to believe, but also once you dig into the specs, you can really get to know what's going on there. So before I dive into the specs on this thing, check below. There's 2 links in the video description, one of which is the detailed review of this bike that has all of the specs and everything kind of laid out in text, which is really nice. We have another article where we have a detailed comparison of this bike versus the Specialized Kenevo SL, which is a really important lightweight e-bike to compare this to. So check those 2 out if you want to see the text, but without further ado, let's talk about some of the specs on the Siryon. The suspension platform on the Siryon, Forestal calls the Twin Levity. It's a single pivot linkage driven design. It was built entirely around their e-bike platform. It wasn't a suspension design built around a non-e-bike and then adapted to an e-bike, which is pretty much everyone else on the market right now. Forestal designed their suspension platform from scratch, in-house, patented on their end to be made around an e-bike in general. And you can definitely tell when you ride the thing. When you talk about tuning kinematics of a suspension design to work properly with an e-bike, they nailed it. It just works. It's progressive, it pedals well, it makes sense, and the bike together when you ride it, which we've spent a lot of hours riding these things so far, it just is dialed in and amazing to ride. That was one of the things that was most impressive. It's definitely a unique looking bike, and getting to ride the suspension and see how well it works, to me it was like, boom, nail in the coffin. They did it. This thing was amazing. Of course, we got to talk about the motor. So they call the motor an Eon drive motor. It's got 250 watts of power with 60 Newton meters of torque. It's actually, the motor itself is just under 4.3 pounds with key parts made out of titanium, which is all in a magnesium housing. Again, they're really going for that premium, zero drag, super quiet, lightweight motor. connected to a battery, which is 360 watts, which can fully charge in just over an hour and a half with the included charger. There is planned range extender to be released sometime in early 2023. That'll put the battery at 610 watts, so that's definitely something to keep your eye out for. The whole thing kind of is tied together with an in-frame display in the top tube, which looks absolutely gorgeous. That has ride tracking. You can change all your modes there, as well as change your modes with physical buttons near your left hand. 6 modes: off, walk, eco, sport, race, and boost. The eco mode is actually tuned quite powerfully, and I was riding that most of the time on this bike and felt totally comfortable with. Unless I really needed to pin it, I bumped it up to sport or race. Boost is almost just laughable how fast it is. I think that's kind of all e-bikes these days. That final maximum mode just makes you feel like you're riding a motorcycle, which is pretty cool. The geo on this thing is spot on, exactly what you'd expect from a modern enduro bike, hitting all the key things like a 64-degree head angle, 77-degree seat tube angle, and size-specific rear end for shorter stays on the small and medium versus the large and XL. You can see on screen now all of the geo specs, so feel free to pause. As much fun as I've had on those big, beefy, heavy e-bikes, and it is cool that you can ride those things for 3+ hours, my personal preference, and I think a lot of people are also leaning this direction, is this much lighter weight package of an e-bike, because most of our rides for most mountain bikers are 1.5 hours or less, and getting to ride an e-bike which totally rips and is super fun, that's also under 40 pounds, which essentially feels just like a normal enduro bike for the most part. That's what I love, which is part of why I really was sort of in love with Forestal when I heard about what they were trying to produce with these bikes. I'm just blown away by these things and how well this whole package has come together and what this company is doing. And I love just seeing this stuff in the bike industry. Please don't hesitate. Any questions you have about these bikes whatsoever, definitely let us know. Feel free to call us. We are going to be stocking demo bikes of the 2 Forestal models, the Siryon and the Scion, in our 3 locations: Southern California, Reno, Nevada, and Lancaster, Pennsylvania. So if you want to come by and actually ride one for yourself, please reach out and be more than happy to help you get set up to do that. Anything else, let us know down in the comments. Hit that thumbs up button. Thanks so much. See you later.